Hello, my name is Joshua Fernandez. In this video, I'm going to explain Course 1 for shaders and VFX. Task 1. Task 1 is to create a simple particle emitter mimicking the effects of fireworks and add color to it. Let us look at the emitter. Here we have the emitter. For that, first we added the spawn burst instantaneous module to get the burst effect. Then we added, for the radial effect, we have added the velocity with the velocity mode from point. For the color over time, we have added the color module, which also uses color from curve to get the gradient this field. For the fade over time effect, we have set the alpha value uh, alpha value 1 at time 0, and at the end of the sim it is set to value is 0 and 1 to the fade out. And for the size of the sim, we have used the module scale sprite size, which uses a graph to scale the size of the sprites. For the creating the blueprint to activate, we have created a blueprint actor, which uses a Niagara component, which uses the Niagara component. So, uh, okay, so for the event graph, we create the event begin place that is used by a set timer by event, which activates the Niagara component, which is set off by default and uses a 3 second event timer. Here is the fireworks effect. Task 2. For task 2, we have to create a rain VFX system with two emitters, one for the rain and one for the splash effect. Let us open the emitter. Here we have the emitter, the rain, and the splash. For the rain emitter, we have set the spawn rate to 1000, so emit 1000 droplets. In the initialized particle, we have set the sprite range for sprite size to random, which spawns a random droplets. For the we have also added velocity, which also uses a random range vector to simulate different speeds. We've added a shape location, which uses the box parameter to spawn it all in a box to get the effects of the rain. The box size being 4000, 4100. The particles section, we have added drag, we added gravity force, and we have also added a collision. And for the collision, we have created the generate collision event, which we'll use in the next emitter. Also kill particles when the raindrops have collided, it kills the particles. For the event handler, we created an event handler to use the raindrops in the next emitter once the raindrops have collided with the splash effect spawns that we're using the event handler. Now going on to the splash effect. Effect just uses a spawn burst instantaneous and spawns random sprites. So for that, we will use the event handler, which uses the emitter as its source and a collision event, which we created using the general collision. It also has a receive collision event, which receives receives the collision event from the from the collision event which we create in the ray. And for the for the sprite, we have used the material. We have used the material from the Niagara default material and added a texture to it. And here is the range and spawns a random size. Task 3. For task 3, we have to create an explosion effect with debris and smoke. For this, we will use three emitters: fire, smoke, and debris. First, let's look at the material which we have created. So, for the material is set. The material's blend mode is set to edit. For the emissive color, we will use particle color multiply the texture sample which we downloaded for the smoke. For the opacity, we will use the radial gradient exposure with the density of 2, which will subtract the texture sample, the tilling noise which we got from the Unreal Engine content. Let's move on to the emitters. The three emitters: fire, smoke, and debris. For the first emitter, we spawn the burst instantaneous with the spawn burst instantaneous with the count of 100. We initialize the part for the initialized particle. We set the color and the random sprite size for the explosion. We add the velocity from point to create a radial effect. We also use the material which we created. Moving on to the smoke emitter, we use the same material as the one which we created in the fire. For this emitter, we use the module spawn particles from other emitters. We spawn particles from fire and uses the same. This is used to spawn the particles from fire. Once the fire explosion is over, it will produce the smoke particles. As for the distinct details of this emitter, it uses the same as the fire emitter, with some slight adjustments to lifetime velocity and size. Also added apply vector yield for more realism of the smoke. Moving on to the third emitter, debris. For debris, we will use a mesh render instead of a sprite render. For the mesh, we will use a box mesh which we found in Unreal Engine content. It follows the same properties as the fire emitter for explosion, but with added collision, velocity, and gravity to mimic the realism. Task 4. For task 4, we have to create a black hole effect. Let's check the emitter. For this emitter, we have created a black hole emitter. It has a spawn rate of 7,000 with the initialized particles at the color and the sprite size of 1,000 and 4,000. This one, yeah, it also uses the shape location of sphere and torus to create this. For the velocity, we will use a scratch dynamic input, where the position where the position of the particles minus is the position of the opponent. Then we break the vector, create the vector, interchange the values, and get the same. For the forced for inwards attraction to create the gravity like this, we use point attraction force. The strength of 45,000 and the attraction radius of 60,000. Also includes drag and scale the sprite size to get smaller when it goes in the middle. For the this trigger, we will first we'll create the UI to display the controls. We will use the space bar to toggle the visibility of the black hole. So that we use the spawn actor from class, spawn actor the class. We get the transform with a predefined item on the map to spawn it at that location. And we also use a flip flop to destroy and respawn the black hole.